this is, the forever mystery. What would have happened 2 years ago if we would have made the playoffs, right? When we went 9-8 and one game out. What would happen last year if we made the playoffs and instead we go 9-8 and one game out? This is the woulda, coulda, shoulda. And at the end of the day, we just got to make it. But Joe Burrow did talk about it, and this is what he said. He said, I think we would have had a good chance. But woulda, coulda, shoulda, that's not where we were. That's not the position we put ourselves in. We needed help at the end. And yeah, at the end of the day, we knew our path. If we made the playoffs, obviously, we would have to play the Bills, the Chiefs, and then the Ravens, probably, most likely. And it sucks because I think we could have beat the Bills. I think we could have beat the Chiefs. In the end, we would have had to play the Eagles no matter what. And the Eagles are a great team. Their defensive line would have crushed our offensive line. Although last time we played them, they only had like 2 half sacks versus us. But at the end of the day, that was a very, very dominant team by the Philadelphia Eagles. And that would have hurt badly to go to the Super Bowl and lose the 4th Super Bowl in franchise history. And the real issue is not even like, I think our offense would have done decent against their defense, even though the defensive line is freaking ferocious. The biggest problem, and it got better in the second half of the year. And I give a lot of credit to our defense because they got a lot better. But if we're being honest, our defense would have gotten destroyed by Saquon and Jalen Hurts running. Kind of like the first time we played them, where Saquon just went crazy on us. And I don't know if we would have been able to contain Saquon and Jalen Hurts, and let alone all the other weapons they have there in Philly. Like, this is one of those situations where if we would have gotten there, that is such a hard thing to shut down, is their team. They have a very good team, and they know how to utilize their team to a very high level. So it's a woulda, coulda, shoulda. But I mean, I here's what I'll say, right? If we would have gotten there, I would want to have played any team but them. I think I said going into my prediction video going into the playoffs last season, I said the biggest, like the one team I'm scared of is Philly. Nobody else. Lions, not scared of them. I wasn't scared of Jared Goff. I thought Jared Goff would, not go far in the playoffs. He didn't go far in the playoffs. I wanted him to. I wanted him to go far in the playoffs, but I knew somehow, some way the Lions would choke. And they did. In the end, this is not a Lions hate video, but they did. I knew the Vikings were frauds no matter what. They would choke hardest, period. Sam Darnold wasn't going to do it. But I wouldn't mind playing the Vikings. Like any team in the NFC, I wouldn't mind playing. Philly was the only team. Green Bay, wouldn't mind playing them. Commanders, wouldn't mind playing them. Even though the Commanders are a great team, I think we would have gotten a better, second game against them. At the end of the day, any team except for Philly. So if we would have to play Philly no matter what, I would want us to go there no matter what, just because I want to go back to the Super Bowl. But at the same time, that is a very, very awful to go there and lose again. But continuing, he said, yeah, I would say a little bit. Burrow said, being motivated for missing the playoffs the last 2 years. I don't think focusing on the end goal is the best way to look at things at this point in my career. If you just focus on controlling what you can control day to day, focus on getting better, and the rest is going to take care of itself. That's 1000% the truth. At the end of the day, you can only control the next game that you're playing. You can only control what's in front of you. And when you start looking too far ahead, and we do this as fans, and I do this all the time, I'm like a huge, huge, huge issue for me, because it's just kind of how we are programmed as football fans, right? Like, you're like, okay, let's say we play the Panthers, Cardinals, not the Cardinals, but Panthers, Jets, and then you play the Browns. Maybe not the Browns. Giants, okay? Panthers, Jets, Giants. Then you play the Steelers. As football fans, our brain is thinking about the Steelers. And football players in general, like, on the Bengals here, they're going to be thinking about the Steelers game. But you can't. You can't not. It's impossible. You have to think about the next team, the Panthers. But your brain's like, Panthers, Jets, Giants, all W's. We got to think about that Steelers game. And you start thinking about it too much. And that's all you're focused on. You're not focused as much on these other games because okay, well, if I win these 3 games, that Steelers game is going to determine a division. That Steelers game is going to determine a playoff spot. And it's just how, I guess, how football players think and how football fans, that's how we always think. 3 games ahead, right? We think about the next important game. There's only so many really, really important. Every game in the NFL season is important. But there's like a couple games throughout your season that is pivotal. Divisional matchups, 100%. And AFC matchups. Because AFC matchups will help you in the end when it comes to seeding, when it comes to who makes playoffs, who doesn't make the playoffs, based on conference record. And obviously, divisional is always important. Right. So, for example, we don't play the Chiefs next year. Right. But we play. Who do we play next year? That's like, other than division, let me pull up our opponents. Can't think off the top of my head who we play that's like pivotal. I want to say, we don't play the Bills. All right. So next year, we do play the Bills, right? Yeah, we do play the Bills. Okay. The Bills. Again. Once we get our schedule out in May, that's when my brain programs to every single team we play and what week we play them. But right now, my brain's like, all right, focus. This is what I'm talking about. One thing at a time. I'm focused on draft, combine, and free agency. Anyway, we play Buffalo, which is that pivotal game, right? And even if that game's week 4, we're going to be thinking about it week 1. You can't be thinking about it week 1. We saw the year versus the Jets, for example, let's say, right? You can't be thinking about that game. Other pivotal games next year, other than divisional, obviously, there isn't really too many pivotal games, right? We don't play the Chiefs in the end of the day. Broncos game, you could say, is pivotal. We play a lot of NFC games. But like Jets, Patriots, Jaguars, none of those games are pivotal games. None of those games at the end of the year will probably dictate our seeding in the playoffs. Now, they could dictate if we make the playoffs or not. Because the Patriots this year, Patriots game dictated us not making the playoffs. But when I say pivotal, I mean like you lose that game and you're going down the seeding, right? It's in the end, I'm assuming we're going to make the playoffs. Okay, so keep that in mind. Keeping in mind, when you assume things, you make an ass out of you and me. But the Dolphins game, pivotal. I'm going to say Broncos, Dolphins, both pivotal games because they could come down to the wild card spots. They could come down knocking us in or out, right? Those are pivotal games. The Bills game is pivotal. That's 3. Every divisional game is pivotal. It doesn't matter. Circumstances does not matter. Pivotal division games. So that's 9 games, right? Yeah, 6. So that's 6. Yeah, that's 9. So we have Broncos, Dolphins, and Bills, 6 divisional matchups. That's 9 total matchups that are pivotal. Jags, Jets, Patriots, we have to win them, but they're not pivotal matchups. And then NFC matchups, I wouldn't say NFC matchups are pivotal, but they're one of those situations where, you got to win for your record. But it's not like tiebreakers at the end of the day are going to come down to number 1, head-to-head record, right? Number 2, division record. Number 3, conference record. number 4, and then it just keeps going down that list. Non-conference is on the head-to-head, like is on the, you know, like what you want to make sure you're beating your opponents with, the tiebreakers, but it's so far down the list. I don't really care about non-conference. I mean, I care, I want to win, but I don't care as much when it comes to, you know, these other pivotal games. So we have 9 pivotal games out of our 17 games. Got to keep that in mind. I'll see you guys in the next one, though. Peace.